Fatima, jump in here. What do you think of Javier's theory that the real culprit here obviously should remain Trump and that Trump is using the carrot and stick approach to get these companies to back away from DEI by threatening these tariffs that could have a real detrimental impact on their bottom line?
Thanks for having me. I think the culprit for many of these things is going to repeatedly be Donald Trump, his administration, and Doge, and what they're trying to do. I also think they want to pit people against each other, right? If it's useful to have labor pitted against those that are advocating for DEI, then great, that works for him. If it means pitting different marginalized groups against each other, women against trans people against, Latinos against Black people and Asians. He's happy for all of that to play out. I think what needs to happen is we need to continue to analyze and pursue and investigate what is happening with this administration, what is happening with Doge, what is happening with the PayPal mafia and these Afrikaners that have found their way into government that are finding ways to expand white supremacy in this country. There needs to be that analysis that happens on one side. There needs to be litigation to stop some of these things. But then people who care about labor and people who care about diversity, equity, and inclusion need to also continue to push with the work that they're doing. I think what will also happen is there needs to be pressure because if we don't fully go fascist in this country, then the pendulum will swing back. And by applying pressure, be it on DEI and making sure that companies like Target stay the course, or Walmart, or McDonald's, or Costco, right? Or labor unions pushing for fair wages and, medical leave and healthcare benefits. It will diminish the amount of time that it takes for the pendulum to swing back. And so that is why it is really important. The challenge is part of their strategy, whether it's to bring companies to the table behind the scenes to trade away benefits that they have or economic value. Part of what they're trying to do is not just distract us, but to tire us out because it is a relentless onslaught of what to follow. Is it a labor issue? Is it a DI issue? Is it a gender issue? Is it a healthcare issue? Are they coming for the Department of Education? Are they trolling through our Social Security numbers, right? There are so many things coming. I think what is critically important in this time is that people need to decide what core topics do they want to pursue, because they can't pursue all of them. Pursue the things that are important for labor. People that care about diversity, equity, inclusion should pursue those things. People in education should pursue to protect the Department of Education. Energy people need to focus on that. So there are so many things coming. I know that the topic that you put on the table, Areva, is about labor and DEI, but the reality is it is an onslaught, and the strategy is to tire us out. The strategy is for companies to come to the table and acquiesce and to bend the knee.
Yeah, let's add to this conversation Assemblywoman Liz Ortega. She is the chair of the Labor and Employment Committee, Assembly District 20 for the state of California. Thank you so much, Assemblywoman, for joining us. You are chair of the Labor and Employment Committee for the state of California's Assembly. You have to be concerned, I would imagine, when you hear the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, talking about criminalizing the failure to participate or to fully make your company records documents available for an investigation around DEI. These are private companies. When you hear that kind of language coming from our Department of Justice, how do you respond to that?
I respond by making sure that, we vote with our values. In the state of California, we've always prided ourselves in our diversity and supporting labor and making sure we fight back. I mean, I want to make something very clear. This problem of DEI is not a problem that unqualified minorities are being hired over white men. The problem is MAGA. The problem is Donald Trump. We've seen this messaging over history. We've seen it over and over again. It was the same message that was used to delay the Civil Rights Act in 1964. We have to understand our history here when these attacks are coming our way. This Donald Trump is a con man. He's very good at, his messaging and his rhetoric, but he's made things very clear. People of color are not his equals. We are inferior. And anything that gets in the way of that is a problem. And that is why I am focused on making sure we defend our Constitution, by making sure we passed a budget recently, a special session, to make sure our Department of Justice, our Attorney General, has the resources to fight back every time this administration comes after, our constitutional rights as Americans. In addition, around the boycott, I just want to, point out Javier's point about the farm worker movement. There's a famous quote that Cesar Chavez said after the grapes and the boycott there, and it was never about the grapes. It was always about the people. And that's what this is about today, about the people standing up and fighting back and pushing back against this rhetoric that is not only dangerous, but it's also, it's impactful to our communities